Hey guys, welcome back to According To. I'm Megan.
And I'm Ciera, and today's episode is going to be all about Megan's solo trip to Jackson Hole, Wyoming.
I just got back from my 3-day solo trip last night, and it was a blast, and I'm so excited to share with you guys my thoughts and my experience, and really just like all the content's going up about it. I've got my TikToks, some I've posted, some I've got just like in my bank of things to post / I need to finish editing. And then I'm going to do one more Instagram post today. And
really just
finally, I'm just getting it all out there. And then, of course, probably what I'm most excited for is Ciera's going to edit the vlog. I recorded a bunch of stuff when I was there. I'm a little bit curious to see how much footage I got.
Scared. But I think it'll be kind of fun to edit because I wasn't there. And so Megan was sharing stuff with me as she was doing it, but like we haven't really sat down and like dove into what all you did. I kind of was like, I picked her from the airport yesterday and I was like, we were talking a little bit, but I kind of wanted to save the bulk of the conversation
today
for the podcast.
So if you guys,
I think it'd be fun.
I guess I'm like getting ready to jump in. We have to do our highlights.
Yes.
And my highlight is my trip, so I can hold off on that.
We're getting too antsy. I'm excited to actually edit. Normally I don't love editing our videos just because it gets so time consuming, and having not been on the trip with you, I think it'll be kind of fun to like peek through the clips and stuff.
Yeah.
I'll try to get all fun and creative with you based off of whatever
Thank you.
you gave me.
Hopefully I gave you some good footage.
Okay, my weekly spotlight. What am I thinking? What did I do when you were gone? I feel like I really didn't do too much. I hung out with Andrew a little bit. We pulled out a puzzle. I'm still working on the puzzle.
Could probably finish it today.
It looks like
close to being done.
It's close to being done. So I've also, this would like lead into the book updates. So maybe I've got my highlight as being done with 2 books that felt like when I finished them, I was breaking free from chains.
That one photo.
Literally. So we can get into like book update stuff now because I have finished 2 books.
Someone wanted us,
you guys.
Someone commented on my Goodreads. They wanted us to share why we thought what we thought about said book.
We can share. So, Megan and I's in-person book club. The book that we're reading is I Who Have Never Known Men. And it's pretty popular on TikTok right now.
From what I've gathered, because actually one of the bookstores, I went to a bookstore in Wisconsin, and it was in like the popular section. I think it's becoming like popular now, although I think it's been out, because it came out in a different language originally.
Yeah.
So I think it's been out for a while, and now it's kind of like hitting mainstream
English markets.
Culture. But the book we're talking about is I Who Have Never Known Men. Cannot remember the author's name off the top of my head. Jacqueline, actually, I'm pretty sure. Anyways, so this was a nice short book, and Ciera and I and our whole book club thought this will be great and perfect.
Like it's trending, it's short. What more do we need to
and like
read
premise-wise, like I do want to read the summary on Goodreads to you because like it was enough to get, a good chunk of people in our book club to vote for it. So I'm going to pull it up and read the description quick because it also just like give you guys an idea of like what the book is about. It has 350,000 ratings and a 4.13 average rating. Like that's a pretty good overall well-liked book. So here's what it's about. Deep underground, 40 women live imprisoned in a cage. Watched over by guards, the women have no memory of how they got there, no notion of time, and only a vague recollection of their lives before. As the burn of electric lights merges day into night and numberless years pass, a young girl, the 40th prisoner, sits alone and outcast in the corner. Soon she will show herself to be the key to the others' escape and survival in the strange world that awaits them above ground. Jacqueline Hartman, that's the author, was born... Okay, so that's just a little bio about her. So that's the premise of the book. And like that intriguing. Sounds pretty intriguing, kind of dystopian. It's interesting.
I think that what intrigued me was that I had a lot of questions, and I don't know that any of my questions got answered. And I'm trying to be vague because I don't want to give any... There's not really any way to give any spoilers.
No, here's the thing. That's what I was thinking about last night when I was like, how do we explain this book in a way to kind of like share our distaste for it, but also not give anything away? There is nothing to give away. If you think you're going into that book getting any answers about this dystopian world, you're not. You literally follow along this, no offense, but like rather boring journey where nothing really happens except for these women escaping above ground and wandering around. Nothing else happens. They find a bunch of other people that seemingly have gone through something similar to them. No answers. And so, in my personal opinion, I just quite literally felt like, what is the point of this book? And I think that's part of the philosophical, I think that's part of the thing people like about the book.
I
just wasn't personally intrigued.
My understanding is that if you are someone who reads books because you like plot-driven storylines, like Megan and I, you will not like this book.
I was at page 19 when I was reading this because I was like, I'll read this on my travel day there to my hotel and like I'll be able to finish it before I even get there. I got to page 19 in the book and I was just like, I like cannot do this right now. I can't do it. And so then I held off reading that at all again until I was on the way back, and I was like, the audiobook is on Spotify. I'm 2.5 timesing this thing, and like I'm just gonna play and let it keep playing until it's over. And so that's how I got through it. I was literally going to rate it 1 star, except for once they got out, it was slightly more interesting. But I would have DNF'd it if it was not for it being a book club.
I would guess that the people who enjoyed this book, are people who maybe are fine with like things being left unanswered, people who are fine pondering like philosophical like meaning of life type of stuff.
Maybe I haven't done any like research deep diving into like what people really think is the purpose behind the book, so maybe that would sway my mind. But like, what is there to deep dive on?
I mean, like there is commentary on like sexuality briefly in the beginning.
That also really kind of threw me off in the beginning, I'm not gonna lie. I was really like, what is this? I was just really confused.
Also like commentary when they get out of like, you know, do they keep going on? Like it's like do they keep looking for something else? Do they stay where they know like they're comfortable? Like I'm sure there are many like different areas. If you wanted to like do a philosophical deep dive into like the meaning of this stuff, you probably could. I kind of want to go on like the 5-star reviews, but like this one's like it says there's spoilers, and I'm like, spoilers for what? So I just want to know. I don't know.
I just want answers to like, why is this society the way it was? What led to this? And you don't get any of that. So
someone said, this is a 4-star review. This is desolate and despondent, but it never tricks you into thinking it'll be anything else. It tells you from page 1 that it isn't a happy story and that you'll be left wanting. But the storytellers, we are trick ourselves into believing that everything will get wrapped up in a nice little bow. No, false. This is pure science fiction. I don't know what was going on at any point of this book, but by God, am I so glad it exists.
Oh, okay. See, I feel like they said everything that I already said, and but they enjoyed it. So probably just personal preference, you guys.
Such a good short book that packs a massive punch. Almost anything you could have questions about in a dystopian world are brought up in these mere 188 pages. So.
Anyways, read at your own risk, I guess.
Anyway.
I mean, I think if you start reading it, like, you know what the book is going to be like. So you're either in it or you're not.
Other book that I had read was East of Eden. I finally finished it. I powered through on the audiobook. I gave it 3 stars. I mean, this book arguably like was plot driven. There was like a lot going on, but it was almost hard to follow because there was like 3 generations. It's for some reason, the story from my understanding is told from the perspective of like, here's the main family, the Trasks, and there's like these neighbor families, the Samuel's the patriarch, but like then it's like him, and it's Samuel's like grandson over here is like he's telling a story, but I swear he doesn't even know these people. So like that was confusing, like setting it up where I was like, okay, how do we get to like how do we get to you now? And we never even get to him. Like he like briefly shares about himself, but like it's in 1 chapter, and he's just like telling the story of this other family. It's supposed to be, from my understanding, a commentary on like Genesis and like Cain and Abel. Maybe if I had more biblical background and knowledge and like knew the specific stories from that part of the Bible, I would have been able to like make more connections and like see the stuff parallels that it was, trying to talk about. I just didn't find the storyline that interesting. I thought it was very convoluted, too much stuff going on where I was like, where is this going? And yeah, that's my take. 3 stars.
Other than finishing our book club book, I'm still in the midst of reading The Fallen and I don't know what it is. There's so many words. It's the 4th book in the Crowns of Nyaxia series. Fallen Dusk. It's all in title.
I am reading A Dawn of Onyx, and I might finish it today or tomorrow. I'm enjoying it. This one will be at least 4 stars, I think. Good. It's such a predictable, like, ACOTAR really is good, but like, it's literally like ACOTAR, but like even easier.
That's, yeah. I told you I was going to go back and read my review, wasn't I, at one point? Because I felt like I had said
like everything is like going too perfectly. We'll see how it ends, but and I know some people get frustrated by that, but like I'm like, sure.
Okay, here's my review on this one. I said, so I gave it 4.25. There are so many fantasy series / books out there that can kind of get jumbled in my brain, but this one was so engaging, not overly complex, and I loved the characters. And then I said this one will be sticking with me for a bit, and I look forward to the series. I just feel like it really is, like, it's not too magical. Things aren't too complicated. It's just easy fantasy read. Okay. That being said, we've covered our highlights.
Next book I'll be reading, The Ghostwriter, which is our September book club pick for the podcast.
Yeah, I should probably read that coming up shortly as well. Maybe when I finish my current book. Okay. Where do we start? Do you want me to just start outlining my journey and you can jump in wherever, I guess?
I will.
Do you have
I'm
any
in the beginning of this
questions?
Story. No.
Okay.
I dropped Megan off the airport on Saturday evening, and then I leave. And I say, good luck.
So I have had this trip planned out for like a month and a half now, and I had a pretty good idea of overall some highlights that I wanted to get to, as well as like I had my first day like the most planned out, and then from there I was a little bit less specific and planned out just in case I was like, I don't know, I might change my mind or decide I want to devote more time to one thing or another. So flew out of Des Moines at like 5:15 Saturday evening. This was like a Saturday to Tuesday trip, so like 3-ish days. And I had a layover in Denver. I had both my travel days, honestly, like the Denver airport.
It's huge.
No, not so much that. I mean, it was that first travel day. But it's like they kept having delays both on my way there and on the way back in relation to like the flights they were allowing in versus out because of like weather and like just decreased ground control out to like get the planes in. So I had some delays with both my flight there and flight back. And so my first flight got in, and like when I tell you guys I booked it to, I was in at Terminal A and I had to get to the B terminal. And so it was like my phone was telling me that it was like a 21-minute walk from one gate to another. And my connection, granted, like I was told as I'm booking it from my gate to the other one.
When you landed, were they like, please let passengers?
Yeah, but like everyone's connecting. Like they already said, like, so all they already said 50 out of the 70 people on this plane have a connection. So
you're
like,
all
be nice, but like also you're all
fighting,
trying to leave. So, and of course my seats are in like the very back of the plane,
of course,
for all of this travel. But get up out of my seat. Boarding has already started for my next flight. So I'm booking it. It like had just started though. So I was kind of like, I've got 20 minutes to get to my plane.
Surely I'll get there.
And I've got 20 minutes to get to the gate. So I was waiting for the shuttle to take me from Terminal A to Terminal B. And so as I'm like catching my breath and just like giving myself a moment, I get a text because I have like the notifications from United on like any updates and stuff. And I get a text saying, what did it say exactly? Because it made me laugh.
It was like, catch your breath.
Catch your breath. We're holding your gate for a couple extra minutes to try and let people catch the plane. And like I'm literally heaving, like doubling over, trying to catch my breath. And I'm like, oh, well, perfect. Thank you. So I did still like book it from the shuttle to the gate, and I made it. I was, I think, like the second to last, or like there was, I think, maybe 2 people behind me. I don't know. But I was one of the last people on the plane. But
Have they been calling your name out?
I don't think so. I didn't hear anything. But I made it, and I was very happy about that because like I was texting Ciera and Haley this whole time being like, I don't know if I'm going to make this flight. And as far as I could tell,
we've never missed a flight like that close. Like if we've missed a flight,
it's already been like, it's because it was the first one was delayed, and like There was one time, actually, I think we went to Palm Springs with Mon. I remember running to a gate at that point in time as well. So I do think there has been a situation like that before. But my concern was, because I already was preemptively looking some things up, knowing that like it was going to be so close, there were no other flights to Jackson Hole that evening. So I was just like, frick, this is really going to put a wrench in my plans if I can't get there tonight. But I was trying to I was just putting positive vibes out there.
The universe works for me.
And I was like, no, like I'm gonna make the flight. It's gonna be okay. Obviously I did, and it was fine. The second flight was nice and short. I got into Jackson Hole around like 10 or 10:30 or something. And then I was like, and this is perfect because if you didn't know, the Jackson Hole Airport, you walk out to all of the planes, like they don't have any jet bridges, so you just like, it's all one level. You go outside of a door and then you walk to the plane. And I get in at 10:30. I get my bag because they made me like put it under like they put it in the plane for that one. Okay, I don't care. Get my bag, and then I'm like in the rental car place, like right here. It's at the airport, and I've already got this like all settled, figured out, perfect. I booked through a specific company, so therefore at the 3 different counters, I have to go to the specific company, which is the only one that has 1 million people in that line. Perfect. And then the other 2 people, no one.
Dilly-dallying.
And so I'm like, okay. But I don't really think much of it because like it's a line. How long can this take? Check in, get your car, go get your rental car, see ya. I waited in this line for an hour and a half. Like, how did it take that long? I don't know. From what I gathered, I believe what was going on was that the company had a bunch of recalls that was limiting their available inventory for which cars they were able to rent. And then they either, because of that, or also just kind of like maybe a secondary thing that was not really well thought of or planned ahead of time, they didn't have enough like clean, ready to go cars. So like I swear there's one guy at the desk and one guy, or however many people are in the back, are like in the back like cleaning and turning out the cars like as people need them. And again, there's just like limited availability. I had rented or tried to rent a compact SUV because that's usually what I like to rent because that's most similar to my car that I drive. And the people in front of me, this was like a couple that I had like kind of been chatting with as like we're waiting in line. It's taking forever. And
they're like, oh, what are you doing here in Jackson Hole? And you're like, I'm just here for a solo trip.
No.
What you talking about?
We were talking about the line and the rental cars. And like there's just many a thing going on with like people are obviously like, is this car okay? Because like that's not really like what they rented. The people in front of me, and this was, I'm gonna spoil the joke, they ended up taking a 16-person passenger van.
Oh my god.
So here's the thing, the rental car company
honestly.
So this was like a different company. They were kind of like joking about a couple that was checking in that I think must have rented like a mystery car or something, and they get brought out and like we're all looking out the window and like they're brought up to like a 16-person passenger van.
Okay.
And like they declined because they came walking back in.
Well, yeah,
they weren't gonna take that. And so the couple in front of me was like laughing like LOL, like
we'll take it.
That's gonna watch that BS. Well, little did they know, like 5 more people go through in line, they get their cars, it comes to their turn.
Would you
guys
like
want
the 16
and
person?
they took it, and they said you know, you guys can come back. They were saying this to everyone when they like if they weren't happy with their cars, they're like, we get more returns in the morning, you guys can always come back and switch your car out, blah blah blah. But they took it. Whether or not they came back and returned the car for a different one, I don't know.
Dang.
And then for me, I was like,
you're like, ain't no way.
I was like, Jesus Christ, what are they gonna give me? I can only handle so much, okay?
I'm just a girl.
I rented a car that I was comfortable with driving. I cannot take a 16-person passenger van. They gave me a.
Would you have taken like a truck?
I would have.
I'd be like, I'll take it. I'll park at a hotel far away, and I'll come back in the morning.
That probably would have been what I would have done. Like the thing that would have made me most nervous was like I didn't know the parking situation at the hotel, and like otherwise like things out there like it's pretty wide open. You're kind of parking wherever. But I was kind of like, what am I going to accept like as a car? Anyways, they bring me a BMW, and they're like, this is actually like a luxury vehicle. So
like, lucky you. Okay, pull my leg.
So my car was perfectly fine. I was comfortable driving it. I didn't return it mostly because I was like, I
don't want to waste the whole day.
Care enough to return the car. So that was my situation with that. I got into my hotel at like 11:30, close to midnight or something, and then I ended up staying at the Virginian Lodge. My thoughts on if any of you guys are interested in going to Jackson Hole, it's kind of like, should you stay in Jackson Hole? Should you stay like in a further town because you can usually save money and not have to spend as much? And I really do feel like I would recommend staying in Jackson Hole, if not even closer to the Grand Teton National Park if you're not doing any actual camping. Because I was considering staying at like an Airbnb in like Idaho. There's people that stay in like Victor, but that's like across the Teton Pass, which I sometimes hear can be scary, especially if it's like wintertime. And then also just like, it's already a far enough drive. It's like a 45-minute drive from like Jackson Hole to like some parts of the Grand Teton National Park. And like I was doing that like once a day, if not a couple times a day. And so I personally think it was worth it to stay in Jackson Hole. And I was also happy about staying in a hotel, which I didn't really realize this until after the fact, but just like with a solo trip, I was seeing a lot of people saying like having the comfort of just knowing you're like in a hotel with a little bit more security and things of that sort. That was also a plus. And then you have amenities at a hotel. So I had like a hot tub that I was able to use and just...
was there a gym?
There wasn't a gym because I saw in their little info section you could reach out to them about like fitness places in the area, but I didn't really read into that.
You're like, I don't care that much.
So I set my alarm bright and early for 5 a.m. the next day because I had a jam-packed day.
Would you say Sunday was like, this is my itinerary for Sunday, everything else I don't know?
Oh, yeah. Well, I knew at least a couple other things I wanted to do. Like I had like the gondola ride and the waffles. I knew I wanted to do that. I just wasn't sure when, but I knew that wasn't on my Sunday to-do list. So there were a couple things like that. And then like I would just kind of like preemptively think about like how do I think I want to adjust like to what I'm doing the next day, or like as things are changing, I'd be like, how do I want my evening or afternoon to look, and things of that sort. So woke up bright and early Sunday and went to Schwabacher Landing. That's how I've been saying it. As far as I can tell, I don't know how else you would say it, but it was like a 30-minute drive from my hotel to that area. And like, it's dark over there at night. And like, granted, at this point in time, like I'd only driven there at night. I was like, it was fine, but I'm just like, there's no lights out here. Geez. So it also sometimes cell phone reception is spotty. I always noticed it'd be like, my phone would be fine. And then like after Schwabacher Landing, it's not great.
I was like, because I was looking at your location, then it'd be like, oh, it hasn't updated for 2 hours. She must be
out
in the wilderness.
And so I think I got up at 5, and then I made sure to leave the hotel by 5:30, drove about a half hour. So I got to Schwabacher Landing around 6, which like I didn't have any trouble finding parking. There was already people there for sure, but like it is a good chunk of time that I was like waiting before sunrise starts happening. So at first I was in my car, and then I left my car to go like pick a spot. It gets fairly busy for the sunrises there in the morning because it's pretty popular to do. But it's like 40 degrees, so it is a little bit chilly till the sun comes up.
Was it as bad as Hawaii?
No, because that was windy.
Hawaii, guys, we were talking about this, so I won't belabor my point. Or belabor. What's the right word?
I say belabor.
I don't even know how to spell that. But when I tell you, I did not expect to be freezing when I was in Hawaii, and that was like just one of the coldest things I can recall ever doing.
The Haleakala volcano is what she's talking about.
Yes. Sorry, we did a sunrise there. I was like, we're in Hawaii. I'll bring I'll bring my light puffer. Because they said it was cold. Oh my God, it was freezing. The coldest I can ever recall being.
I don't know about that for me personally.
I know, but like, and like the bus was like not on, but you could go on the bus. And I was like, shoot, guys, like I'm going to go sit in the bus.
Yeah.
There's a bathroom. I was hiding in the bathroom for a little bit, but it's also like an outdoor bathroom. Anyway, that was cold.
So then I stayed there. I was nervous because like I could see before the sun was coming up that like I could see the outlines of the mountains. I was like, this is going to be gorgeous. Love it. And then like as the sun is coming up, like there's like fog lifting up to like completely cover the mountains. And like I remember looking before I went there at like the sunrise time, and it said it was going to be sunrise at 7:01. It's like 7:01. The mountains are completely covered, and I'm just like, well, shoot. But I'm like, you'd have to imagine when the sun keeps coming up, like the fog will go back down. I'm anticipating. So hung out a little bit longer there. It did end up clearing a little bit so that I was able to take some good photos and videos and pictures and stuff. And I probably left there around like 7:30 or 8 or so. And then at that point in time, I had decided, well, I need breakfast because I have not had anything to eat yet. So Cowboy Coffee Co. is a pretty popular coffee shop. They've got a couple different locations in that area. So I went back into Jackson Hole, I got a burrito and a hot chocolate. Both were very, very good, and I enjoyed thoroughly. And then after that, I decided that I was going to go to a bunch of the different lookouts on the main road. I can't even remember the main road, Highway 26 maybe. But they've got lookouts galore, and they've all got like little names for their little turnout points and stuff like that. My favorite one that I went to on the main road, I think, was Goose Tail. Hold on. I have the names of these somewhere. It was interesting knowing that I had looked these up before of like lookouts and turnouts to try and like find and do. And I'd be like, I remember seeing that name before. Oh, wait, I think I deleted my note because I was like, I don't need this anymore.
Do you have a recently deleted note?
Oh, yeah, true. True. Blacktail Ponds Overlook was one of my favorite ones on the main road. Teton Point Overlook is also like a good one that is just like quite literally in the front of Grand Teton. And I was also really, really happy after the fact that I did most of those lookouts on my first day there, because on the second day there was a little bit more clouds where you couldn't see all the way up to the top for some of the day. So I was like, well, I'm really glad I did the lookouts on that first day. And then from there, I'm trying to make sure that I like can remember what I did in the right order. What did I do after I did a bunch of the lookouts? Going to my camera roll to remember.
Going back to your hot chocolate, because you said in your Instagram story, you were like, I'm usually a hot chocolate snob. This is very good. Does it rank above gas station hot chocolate?
Still not. That's why it's not a 10 out of 10. I know.
Why can't every gourmet, like cafe, whatever that has hot chocolate, like literally just get the machine that the gas stations have, put it in?
I did go back to Schwabacher Landing during the daytime as I was going into a bunch of overlooks, just because, again, it's on that same main road. And like I knew from earlier in the morning, there's like a little bit longer of a path. It's not like a hiking trail or anything, but like I could have gone further. And so I did go back and take additional photos and videos there. And then at that point, it was getting close to lunchtime. So I went to Moose is like a very, very small town kind of in between Jackson Hole and then Grand Tetons. And it's also like one of the ways that you can like go to get into the national park. So they've got a bridge that goes over Snake River, which is the river right by Jackson Hole and like in that area. And so first of all, that was very pretty. Like I drove across that bridge and I was like, geez, like this is beautiful. And then there's a place called Dornan's that has, I think, a couple different options for, like, I think that general area of, like, they have got a couple shops and restaurants. I think that just is Dornan's and probably owned by all the same people. They had a little, like, walk-up outdoor semi-permanent thing for eating, and then also, like, an indoor restaurant with, like, pasta and pizza. And so I just did the little walk-up thing because honestly at this point I was still quite full from my breakfast burrito, but I also knew I needed to eat something before like continuing on with my day. So I was going to get like a salad, fries, and a pop, and I was like, this sounds lovely. And then I see a sign that says we are out of both of our types of salads.
Oh my goodness.
And so I was like, well, the other options they had were like burgers and hot dogs and just like stuff that I was like, I'm not going to be able to eat this. So I just got a pop and a side of fries and ate that for my lunch. Okay. I was like, okay, well, that'll be fine. From there, actually, this isn't that big of a deal, but when I went to go from Schwabacher Landing to go get my Cowboy coffee, I had just like put in Cowboy coffee on my phone and like expected that it would take me to Jackson Hole. It took me to Teton Village, which when I got there, that one was closed. Oh, so then I had to drive, because that was like a 30 or 40 minute drive. Oh. Then I had to drive another 30 minutes.
Oh my God.
Back to Jackson Hole. all was well, all was fine. But it did like,
what outfit change are we on right now? We haven't even discussed your outfits.
I'm in my morning hiking outfit, and then like I shed my like Sherpa jacket and put my vest on and my hat.
Okay.
So anyways, that took a little bit more time out of my morning, but whatever. It took me down anywhere I was driving here, it was beautiful. So I was complain. Whatever.
What were your like road trip listens? Were you listening to music, podcasts,
my first one,
audiobooks?
No podcast or audiobooks. It was all music. I had to like, eventually it was whatever my downloaded songs were because I didn't have any.
Did you then, when you went back to the hotel, download more songs? Okay.
It wasn't that important. After I left Schwabacher Landing, I was like, I'm going to set the vibe. I did still have service at this point. I'm like, I'm going to do Jackson Hole something. I just like looked at a playlist to just like set the vibe a little bit. I thought that was nice. I didn't know any of the songs really, but it was a good vibe.
I bet I would be curious if you pull the playlist if I like know some of the artists.
Well, I mean, I knew some of the songs, but like,
I feel like the music that I would say I'm getting into it, but like there's more music that I'm listening to that I feel like would be.
I feel like this is more like country than probably what you're thinking. Jackson Hole Summer was the playlist that
I'm thinking of like Noah Khan.
He came on and I was like, this is a good vibe as well. Like he might be in that playlist actually.
But you're right. A lot of these I don't know.
And so went back to my breakfast, did some more of the overlook stuff, and then I went to Dornan's, and then I continue on with my camera roll so I can see what I did after that. Oh, okay. So then I finally decided I'm going to go to, I was also at this point, I was like, I haven't paid to enter the national park. And like, I knew at some point I should anticipate having to do that. So I was like, where is this at? I drive to Jackson Lake next. There's 2 different entrances. You can get into the Grand Teton National Park either through a road in Moose, or you can keep going further up the road and go to the Moran Junction, which is what I did for really no particular reason. When I was driving on that road, I also found like the Elk Ranch Flats turnout, which is where everyone always stops for like where the horses are at and stuff. And there's like a bunch of buffalo usually in that area. So I was like, oh, that's where that's at. And then it was $35 to get into the park, and with your receipt, like that gives you access for 7 days if you're there for that long. And then there's more turnouts and outlooks in the park. There's obviously like lots of hiking stuff in this area as well, but I didn't really do any hiking because I kind of got scared and talked myself out of it, so I didn't do any hiking.
Was it the bears or was it like
it was like
people?
It was
the man or the bear. Who were you more scared of?
It was a mix of both. It was more the bear because I was just like, I kept trying to be like, the odds of me seeing a bear slim, but like then you would look up stuff. But then you would look up stuff and people would just kind of be like, yeah, like I often see a bear, on this trip. I'm just like, I don't know if I love that idea. I'm sure the bears are kind. But I just don't know
the like types of bears, what you're supposed to do?
I am pretty sure like grizzly bear is
like, do you know like the phrase? Like
I can't remember the phrase.
I believe, you can correct me if I'm wrong or look this up, but it's like, if it's brown, lie down. If it's black, fight back. If it's white, good night. So if you come to a polar bear, I guess you cannot win that fight.
Noted. So if you go to Jackson Lake and you want to like go to a spot where you could like swim, or actually like it's a beach, but it's like a rocky beach, so like it's not sandy, it's rocks, and not even small rocks, like these are large rocks, kind of like when you're in Nice. So if you want to do that, then you have to go to like Coulter Bay, and then like in that area, I will say like the national park in general, like they have a lot of infrastructure there in terms of like they had a gas station in the national park. They had like the different camping sites are pretty like outfitted with like, facilities. And when I'm like pulling up to Coulter Bay, like they've got like a giant general store with bathrooms, and then like
nice.
a separate, I didn't go in this, but like there's a visitor center separately. Like it was a very like populated area. Okay. Giant parking lot. So I go to the Coulter Bay area. I park my car. I had packed a swimsuit in my backpack
to be like doing that.
To be like, if I wanted to take a dip, then maybe. I have the option to. There were some people that like were going in the lake, but like they were doing it more as like they didn't have swimsuits on. They just had like biker shorts or sports bra or something. So like that would have been just like probably I would have felt more comfortable doing that. I will say like my leggings, I was wearing navy leggings. Like I was getting warm sitting in the sun, but the water is freezing. Anyway, so I just kind of like sat, enjoyed the views a little bit, and sat on a rock and then eventually a log, and then
okay. Thanks for the clarification.
And then took some photos and videos. And
do you want to talk about your setup that you had for all of your content?
Sure. I actually just posted a TikTok about this. Oh. You'll have to go check it out.
I will.
But my holy grail items for taking my own photos on this solo trip was one, my MagSafe tripod for my phone, because that was really helpful for photos and videos that I just wanted on my phone. And then in addition to that, the Lens Buddy app, which I thought cost money because I thought someone said that at one point, but like it didn't cost me any money. So that was good for like I could set self timers, have different like amounts of photos it would take, and you can delay the start time and all that stuff. So that was what I was using for my phone, but I was primarily relying on the G7X, and then I bought a separate tripod for that kind of has like that very same like compact version, and then you just extend it up, and it was very easy to fit in my little travel backpack that I was carrying around. And then I was able to connect my phone via the Wi-Fi to control the camera, and then if I set it on a timer, I was able to manage taking my own photos. So that was my camera setup. It worked out fairly well. I really don't have any complaints, and it was not as nerve-wracking to do. I wasn't really anticipating it to be because I'm like, who cares? But like everyone for the most part is there to, you know, take some photos, make some memories. And there was also like there was plenty of times where like I, you know, I mean not plenty of times, but like I did ask a couple people to like take my photos and or vice versa. Like they would ask me to take their photos. So
yeah,
you'd be able to find that as well. After I left Jackson Lake, I did what?
Pull up the camera roll. You didn't get any like gas station goodies
when I was there?
Yeah.
No.
You said there was a convenience store.
I know, but I feel like I was like full. I only got snacks one time when I was there. It was a bag of goldfish. Okay, then on my way back, I went to the Elk Flats Ranch turnout because I was like, I need to take some photos with some of the horses. There were like 1 to 2 horses by the fence, but obviously like
I was like, did you get
everyone was right by the horses, and they weren't leaving the horses alone. If I would have had someone with me, I could have like, you know, had my shot to like stand in line with the horse and take a photo. But I was not going to like set my tripod up and then be like, let me stop my stuff quick while you guys are all just like standing by these horses. So I like went off to the side and just, you know, I did pet the horse. I went up and pet it. I just didn't get a photo with it.
Okay.
And then I also like I changed in my car when I was doing this, which like the top was fine. I had like a little sweater. I put it on and I could easily like take my shirt off underneath and it was fine. But then I had overalls that I was wearing for my pants that day. And like it was more of a task than I thought it was going to be able to do that while also taking my leggings off. But it was manageable and I made it work. Granted, my G7X settings I felt like were a little bit off for some of the first photos, but I made it work and hopefully edited them somewhat decent. From there, at this point in time, it was like 4:30. I only got 5 hours of sleep the night before, and like I was starting to feel it. So I was like, I have to go back to the hotel and I have to take a nap. So I went back to the hotel, rinsed off quick, took like a 30-minute nap that really was not very refreshing. And then I woke back up because I was planning to go to sunset at Mormon Row. I think it's just called that because like historically it's like Mormons had the barns that were there. And like now they're a pretty popular spot for photographers to go take photos. So put on my cute little newly dress and drove over there. On my way to the lookout.
It's a shame you didn't get to like keep the dress for a little bit longer. Like, you know, I feel like your photos were fine there, but like you can't really see the dress.
I was debating like before going on the trip, I was debating like, do I want to use any of my credit stuff to like buy any of these items that I had? And to be honest, I was more so after wearing that sweater. I was more so considering that sweater, but then I looked at like the prices still for like purchasing that stuff, and I was like, I don't like any of this stuff.
What sweater?
Enough.
The like cow print one?
Yeah, that one's like a very flattering fit sweater, I feel like. But I returned them all. So, anyways, on my way to the sunset, it's funny because anytime you see a bunch of cars and people pulled over, you're like, okay, there's probably some wildlife here. So I'm driving over to Sunset Row, and I see a bunch of cars pulled over. And I'm like, what's going on?
Me too.
And so no, I didn't pull over, but I slowed down. Did I send these to you? There was moose on the side of the road. I didn't get a very good photo because there's a bunch of people in the way, and I'm driving the car. But there were 2 moose, like fairly close to the road. And
moose are huge.
The moose there are not as big as Alaskan moose because it's colder in Alaska. I saw a sign.
So they're bigger?
No. Well, they're bigger in Alaska.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's colder?
Yes.
Okay.
So, continued on past, went to Mormon Row, spent like 20 minutes there taking my photos and videos and admiring the sunset. And then I was like, okay, time to go find some dinner and see what I want to do. I was debating. I was like, do I want to go to a restaurant and like sit down and like do that? Or do I want to pick something up? And like I said, I was just quite tired at this point. Like I wanted nothing more than to just like go to my hotel room at this point and like relax and get ready for bed. So I had driven past I thought it was called Teton hand-fired pizza, but as far as I could tell, it's just hand-fired pizza, and that's their name. But they have like an old movie theater look or like thing outside the restaurant. So I don't know if it used to be a movie theater, but I just went in there, ordered to go. I got a basically supreme pizza and then a Mexican Coke, and then I left. And then when I got to my hotel, I realized I had a little bit of a problem because I had nothing to open this glass bottle. It literally took me 20 minutes of like hard effort to get this bottle open, and I am kind of shocked that I did because it was like so not giving at all, but I got it eventually. And so after my dinner, I did a little bit of like making some TikToks and trying to edit some of the content before going to sleep. And then we're on to day 2. All right, day 2, this was Monday. I had already decided that I was going to sleep in a little bit and not do like any sort of early morning wake up to go look at the sunrise. So I slept in until like 6:30 or 7 maybe. And then I had heard really good things about a place called Persephone Bakery as well. So I decided I was going to do that for my breakfast on Monday. I got a hot chocolate from there as well. And then I also got a chocolate croissant. The chocolate croissant was good, but the hot chocolate was not really that good. It was very bitter. And just like, if you've ever had Starbucks hot chocolate, like that's what it was giving. And I just don't really like that in a hot chocolate. It was pretty early this morning. Like I was in town at like 8 o'clock, which it was a little bit rainy here as well. So that could have also been part of the problem. So town wasn't very busy, but there's also not a lot of places open yet. So like I got my breakfast, then I went back in my car, and then I decided, since it was still pretty early and not super busy, that I was going to go to like the town square area. It was like right there. So what I didn't know, not that like you would know this unless you've been there, but like that town square area, they've got like the antler arch that's super popular. There's one at every corner. So there's 4 of them. So take your pick. You've got many options. So I took some photos and videos of myself in front of that, and then a group of people asked if I could take a photo of them. So then they also took a photo of me. But it was kind of rainy that morning and nothing was open. So after that, I was like, okay, I think I'm going to leave town here. And then at this point, our vlog camera was starting to die, and I had to figure out if I was going to try and find a charger for it because I did not pack one. So then I went to Target, and then I found a cord to charge the vlog camera. Then I went back to the hotel because it was still like off and on raining at this point, and a little bit chilly. And I was like, I have not yet been able to use the hot tub at the hotel. So this sounds like a really prime time to sit back, relax, and do that. So I went back to the hotel, plugged the vlog camera in, went to the hot tub, did a little bit of reading for like a half hour, 45 minutes. There's 2 different hot tubs, and the first one I got in, I was like, there's surely no way this is like the hot tub because like this is warm, but it's not hot.
Warm at best.
So then I was like, please let the other one be hot. Like if it's not, like it's going to ruin my whole mood. The other one was a good temperature. So that was a blessing.
I'm glad.
And then after that, I decided I was going to head out on my nature portion of the day, I guess we'll call it. So I knew that I wanted to go back into the Grand Teton National Park, and there was like a couple other overlooks that I had passed but I hadn't stopped at yet that I was like, I can put that on my list of things to do today as well. So again, another like 45-minute drive from the hotel to the Grand Teton
Still just
National
music
Park.
vibing out.
Yep. And then once I got into the park, there was a spot that you can keep going towards Culture Bay and Jenny Lake, or well, at least like one option for Jenny Lake. Not Jenny Lake, Jackson Lake. Or you can turn to go to Jenny Lake and some other lookouts and like go a different route. So on day 2, I turned and I went the different route. Stopped at the Jackson Lake Dam and Reservoir. And then there's a couple other outlooks that I stopped at as well. And then Jenny Lake is a very, very popular lake / like it's popular because of the different trailheads they have there. So the parking lot for that, insane. Had to drive around forever, just like some people do park on the side of the road, but like I was like, I'm gonna get lucky and like eventually someone's gonna pull out and I will find a spot.
Lucky girl,
which eventually did happen. Just took a little bit. And so they've got like a visitor center there. That's where I got my goldfish. They've got like a little snack spot.
You didn't get any like
bear
spray
spray you can rent there. No, I've kind of stopped becoming like a souvenir person. And I was debating getting a sweatshirt maybe, but I didn't know if it'd fit. And then also I was like, I have a Jackson Hole sweatshirt technically already. Anyways, this was also the one place that like if I was going to do a hike, I was anticipating maybe doing this Jenny Lake hike. But again, I had kind of talked myself out of it already at this point. And then also it was like kind of cold this day, more so than the day before. So I just wasn't sure that like I really was going to enjoy that. And then also,
how long was the trail that you were thinking of doing? It wasn't
long, like maybe 3 miles round trip or something. And then my other thought, this is when like planning maybe could have been more helpful, but I'm also like not devastated that I didn't do this. For Jenny Lake, you can either like pay $12 round trip to be shuttled from like the entrance to the hiking trail point if you want to shorten the hike, which like that is like then the 3 miles that I was talking about. Or if you don't want to do that, then you can do, this time of year they had 2 options for like hour-long just like scenic shuttles around the lake, which I was like, oh, well, that could be nice instead. They're sold out, so, to be expected. So I wasn't able to do that either. And I was like, theoretically, one could pay, $12 or $20, whatever it is, to like just shuttle from one point on the lake to the other. But I didn't really care to do that either. So I just admired the lake from afar, and it was pretty. And then I was like, okay, I think I'm going to head out of here as well. So that was the end of my like nature stuff that day. So then I went back into town, and I decided that I was going to spend a little bit more time walking around since I hadn't really done that the day before. So
what do you feel like was like the breakdown of like groups that you saw or people that you saw? Is it like a mix of older people, younger people?
There's honestly, what's
bachelorette
interesting,
trips.
I feel like a lot of older people, like, and you know what I noticed, and I mentioned this in the vlog too, you don't realize how many other solo travelers there are until like you are also solo traveling. Because like I took note of that, like there was quite a few, I felt like female solo people, like older age as well. And then strange enough, and granted, like this could also just be like an American tourism thing, not just specific to Jackson Hole, but there were a lot of Asian tourists there. And when I looked, I had to look it up because I was just like confused, like why Jackson Hole? And again, this could be for like different parts of the U.S. as well besides just Jackson Hole, but tourism specifically, I think it might be like Chinese tourism specifically, like they have kind of marketed these areas like Jackson Hole as kind of like a retreat or like wide open, way to escape the populous cities of China. And like they bring like whole buses of people.
Oh, dang.
So like I saw like a whole bus of people when we were in like the park, and I was just like, what is this? So that was interesting.
San Francisco had a lot of people visiting from Asia when you're there, I noticed. And I think we looked it up. I mean, obviously it's close because it's on the West Coast, but.
Yeah. And then, like, yeah, there's couples as well. But honestly, like, I didn't really see bachelorette trips when I was there, but I know it's a popular location for bachelorette trips. I went back and changed into my outfit that I was wearing that morning so that I could shop around a little bit. I went to that bookstore that had been closed that morning, but it was open later. I just love a good bookstore vibe.
Didn't get any books.
And then I went to eat a late lunch / early dinner at Jackson Drug, because the history behind this place, because I had to be like, well, obviously this is not a drugstore now, so what's the name behind this? And it used to be this family originally had like the original soda fountain shop as well as pharmacy, and that opened in 1918 or 1919 or something. And it had been open at a couple different locations in Jackson Hole, and then it had to close down in like 2010 because of like stuff being bought and resold or whatever by different companies or people. And then when it closed down in 2010, I could be getting these dates wrong, but like the general story is the same. Then there came an opportunity for like one of the vacancies in its current spot was available, and then the family had kind of decided they wanted to like reopen up the restaurant, and so they opened it up again in 2016, I think, as just a restaurant. I'm sure it probably, like, it hadn't had its pharmacy purpose in quite some time, but it is basically just a nice vibey diner type restaurant now. And I was pleased. I like just was very full on this trip, I felt like. So I got a salad with fried chicken on it and a Coke. And it was delicious.
You'd think that with all these miles you're putting on, you'd be hungrier.
Well, here's the thing. A lot of the miles were driving. There's not that many steppage mileage. So, walked around a little bit more. And then at that point, I was kind of like, it was 5:30. I was like, am I done for the day? Like, do I want to go back to the hotel? But I felt like that would kind of be a little bit of a waste. So I was trying to figure out, like, what do I do? So
had a movie theater.
I didn't. I was trying to look up. I was like, okay, maybe I could look at where Sunset would be good to go. But also I was like, I'm not going to like drive out to somewhere super far. So I found Snow King Mountain is a mountain right by and in Jackson, and it's like popular for skiing in the wintertime. They also have a year-round, I think basically year-round gondola ride. There's a fly in here, so I'm so sorry, you guys. That you can take up to the top of the mountain, and they have a restaurant up there and stuff like that. So I was like, well, perfect. I'll ride this gondola up and enjoy the view and at least like have kind of another fun thing I'm doing. So it was quick drive. I hopped on the gondola, got to enjoy it to myself. Wasn't super busy up there, but you could tell there were a couple like hiking trails on that mountain that you could do, like, and this was like a small mountain. So you could theoretically like, do a couple short hikes on there, and like that definitely wouldn't have been, I'm not going to say no bears ever, because like technically I'm sure all of Wyoming is like bear country, but like that seemed like a pretty safe spot. So I was up there. It was also starting to get a little bit cold, and it was not quite sunset time, so I did take refuge in this building just on a random bench as I was like starting to actually edit some photos and stuff that I had put together because I hadn't done any of that yet. And then
once when you were texting me and you're like, nothing's going through, and I was like, go to your hotel.
Yeah. Yep. And then at that point I watched the sunset, and then I went back down the gondola and went back to my hotel. I also drove by the Jackson Hole rodeo. They're closed for the season, so I did not go to any rodeos when I was there. And then that was my Monday.
Hey, quick run through anything you did on Tuesday, and then we can kind of finish with some closing thoughts on your first solo trip.
All right. So on Tuesday, I decided I wanted to wake up a little bit early again so that I could, here's the thing, and this is vain of me kind of, but I also was like, this is my trip. I can do what I want. I had an all denim outfit that I hadn't really, been able to feature or anything. And I knew I wanted to wear it. And I was like, I really feel like the Elk Flats Ranch turnout, like that's where this is going to shine. It just gives that vibe. And I was like, it's probably going to be less busy in the morning if I go. And also, I had looked something up saying that wildlife is sometimes like more active in the morning. And this is where I said there's also a bunch of buffalo as well. So I got myself up kind of early. I treated myself to some hot chocolate for the drive out because it was like a 30-40 minute drive to get to that lookout again. Or not lookout, but like turnout. And then I got there. I was right. It was not as busy. There were no horses up against the fence at this time. So like that was a little bit of a downer. Because I was like, well, if a horse was up at the fence, then I could also be getting a horse photo as well. But I didn't. But I was able to like very easily just like spend some time taking some photos and adjusting the camera how I wanted to. And that's the one that I ended up using as one of my cover photos for one of my Instagram posts. And then from there, I wrapped up at that around like 8 o'clock or 8:30 or something. And then I also stopped and like pulled over, and like a bunch of people were pulled over because like there are so many bison in this area. So you've got a lot of photographers that are pulled over taking photos. And so I pulled over too, just to like, I hadn't really done that for any of the wildlife stuff. So I was like, let me enjoy this for a moment. And I actually caught a video that had a buffalo walking from one side of the road to the other. So I thought that was kind of cool. And then from there, I decided that I was going to go back to Teton Village. That's the place that I went to on accident. This time I was going there on purpose because they have an aerial tram that will take you to the top of Rendezvous Mountain, which is one of the mountains in the Tetons. And it's part of Jackson Hole Resort. So at first, when I was looking stuff up, because this didn't open till 9, so I was like, this is pretty perfect timing. I'll get there basically like right when it opens or shortly after. And I think I did get there around like 9:30 or something. And then I was like looking at the price again. I was just like, geez, this is $50. Like, do I really think this is going to be worth $50? But I went back and forth, and I was kind of like, I don't really have anything else that I'm like planning on doing today. So like, I think I might as well just do this. And I've got to say, it was worth it. So I thought the $50 was well worth it because they actually had, the top was a lot more interesting than I thought. So it's like a 12-minute ride up this aerial tram. You're like shoved in with like a bunch of other people because it's a giant tram. You get up to the top, and then the mountain is like 10,400 feet elevation. So you're up high. You can like, walk to the summit and like say like, I'm on the summit of a mountain. And then they've also got this restaurant up there called Corbett's Cabin. That's really famous for their waffles. And so I had to go in and get one of those, and that was pretty tasty. They do have a hot chocolate, but I really was like, I should get some water or something at this point. But I was going to rate it as well, but I didn't. And then at the top there, some people like this, you can like ride that up and then like hike different trails like on the mountains. So some people do that. The guy on the way up was also telling us there's like a record of like people can like start on the bottom of the mountain and like hike up, and then they get a free ride back down. But they said the record for who like time to do it is a 6.1 mile hike from the bottom to the top. Record time 57 minutes.
That's crazy.
That's a 9-minute mile climbing a mountain.
How do they like time that, or like how do they verify that?
Well, I think like, I don't know, I'm sure there's ways they do it. You get people to say, I'm going to try and break this record today. I don't know. Anyways, so then also at the top, they have a couple different like sky bridge type things where it's like these metal things that kind of like extend over the edge a little bit. And then also I was hanging around extra long up there because the person that works there that like rides to the top with us was telling us like, oh, like, yeah, paragliders are out. Like, it looks like they're jumping off like the other side of the mountain today. So I was like, I want to see a paraglider jump off the mountain. And so like they're walking around. These people seem like they get most of their business based off basically like walk-ups, because like they're basically going around like, you want to paraglide? You want to do it? And like, and you're like, they eventually, they asked me and I said no, but they did find
I would have been hysterical if like you were like, yeah, sure. And just because like,
here's the thing, prior to going on this trip, I knew this was a thing that was done, and I was kind of interested, but then I looked up the price and it was like $400.
Oh my God.
So I was like, I don't think I'm that interested. So, but like after watching it, it does look less scary than I would have originally anticipated.
Well, you're saying, you know, they only get 1 or 2 people to do that a day. Like, that's a pretty good business deal.
Here's the thing. I think as soon as people watch other people do it, like, they start getting more and more people to do it.
Yeah.
But then they have to, like, it takes, like, 15 to 20 minutes to fly down, they said. and then like they have to like come all the way back up on the tram.
Like $400 a trip, like that's a pretty good business model, you know?
Yeah, I don't know their expenses. Anyway, so that was very cool to see. I would, I'd maybe consider it in the future. It really made it less scary looking. Like, I'm like, you basically just walked off the side of the mountain. It wasn't like you jumped. Like, you saw the video I sent.
Yeah.
And then from there, it was like 11:30 at this point. I go back down. I'm sitting in my car, and I'm trying to decide what I want to do next. I have like 3 hours till I need to be at the airport. And then I was like, what if I just bump my flight up earlier? And so then I ended up doing that because I didn't have anything else on my to-do list. And then instead of getting home at like 11:40 p.m. and having to work the next day, I was getting in at like 9 p.m., which was much nicer. So I just went to the airport from there, and that was the end of my trip.
And I picked her up and I brought her home. Okay. So how did you feel about your solo trip? Did you feel like you were well prepared? Did you feel like it was a good amount of time, specifically for your location? And would you do it again?
I did feel pretty well prepared. I feel like Jackson Hole was a great location for a solo trip, I thought. And I felt what I have kind of come to realize is like if you're going to do a solo trip and you're wanting, like if you want to enjoy it, you have to be kind of planning a trip that's based around like solitude and like being by yourself. And I feel like some trips and locations are going to lend themselves easier to that than others. So in that sense, I thought that the location was great. And then I felt very safe with everything that I had done personally. Again, like part of that, I kind of told you guys like when there were things that I was debating doing where I didn't really feel super safe, I just was kind of trusting my gut on that and like modifying as needed. And I would do it again. I was telling Ciera that I don't know where it would be to, and like it probably wouldn't be for a while, but I would definitely do a solo trip again.
And perhaps I'll do it in the future.
And I was telling Ciera, I was like, maybe you got to pick a location and then you can do your little vlog.
If you guys have any ideas, because Megan was asking me on the car ride back yesterday, coming back from the airport, she was like, where would you go? And I was like,
she didn't have any
ideas. I don't know. So if you guys have any thoughts on where
you could always look back through I posted that poll on Instagram.
True.
You could always look through it.
Anyways, I think that's going to do it for this podcast. Hope you guys enjoyed Megan's recap. If you're now just chomping at the bit, we do have a vlog coming up where Megan's recording all this stuff, and so I will hopefully edit it nice and lovely. And yeah, make sure you follow us on Instagram at According To. You can also follow our individual Instagrams, specifically if you want to see Megan's Jackson Hole posts. And we'll talk to you guys next Thursday.
Bye.
Bye.